as to whether or not the Borg had been killed through good and first contact. That the death of the Queen meant the death of the collective. That's never a good thing for everyone to have. Sure, it could be all bright and glorious by the time your movie comes out, but what happens after you're dead and everyone moves on? Everyone forgets about you, that's what. Tatooine is well populated, but even they have over 50 convenient retrofit locations. At last we will have revenge, and good night. So it was really time to bring back the Borg, to let everyone know that they're still around and kicking ass. So, step 1, show them flying through space and then get annihilated in about 5 shots by badass lightning. The Borg cannot hope to stand against the son of Odin. On Voyager, Janeway's appealing to Leonardo da Vinci to be allowed to work in his workshop. This will be a minor subplot, eventually leading to its own adventure, but let's leave all that stuff for another time. Janeway gets called to engineering to see the results of their lost probe. The last few seconds of footage shows that it's been taken by the Borg. That's serious, because flying through Borg space is like practicing yoga in a prison shower. It's just an invitation to get roundly screwed. Luckily, this area of space that the Borg seem to avoid that they've dubbed the Northwest Passage. And what a great name, huh? What better way to raise morale than to name your only hope after something that men through their lives are searching for that never actually existed? They figure this area must be safe because it's a really turbulent spot in space or something. Anyway, everyone's on their toes to deal with the Borg. Tuvok has weapons at the ready. Harry's set up long-range scans. The Doctor's studying ways to resist assimilation. And Neelix is going to stretch out their rations somehow. Lucky thing I found the key to the Borg. Up until now, Scorpions handled things in a fairly standard episode. Goofing off, magic meeting room, etc. There's an explanation provided for the first contact assimilation technique, with the Tubules using nanoprobes to assimilate. But the real crux of Scorpion, which helps to elevate it above the standard fare, is that it works to tie the human element and the threat together for the duration of the episode.
Is your shoulder on?
No, I'm trying to give you as much access to it as I can.
Oh, okay.
But when, after time, my shoulder books his way back that way, and that's just involuntary.
Okay, well don't push it all the way back so that you're sitting like this and you're totally uncomfortable, because then you start to shake. And
I agree. I'm sorry. You're right.
I mean, you're not, but that will.
I agree.
Soul searching of the entire episode into the question, is Riker ready for the big chair? And the answer in that statement was yes. He was ready, without hesitation, to save the Federation from a mortal threat, regardless of his personal feelings and allegiances. Thankfully, Scorpion doesn't attempt to ape that, but has the same general idea of taking the human element and making it an essential
kind of fun.
No, it's not. Because it scares me every time.
Janeway and Chakotay. And part of that is the introduction of the conflict that was supposed to be part of this entire premise. But it doesn't start that way. Janeway and Chakotay discuss the situation, with her feeling grim and conflicted. Borg space is too vast to go around. It's so risky to go through, and turning back means giving up. It's become my opinion over the years that Brandon Braga is kind of like a multiplying factor. When you partner him with a strong writer, you get an even stronger script. And when you partner him with someone like Rick Berman, you get a season of Enterprise so awful that DVD should come with a coupon for a ladder and a noose. So this script, combining it with Joe Menosky, who gave us The Thaw, delivers on this interpersonal dynamic that supplements and then later drives the plot. For now, Chakotay and Janeway are firmly aligned, so much so that it's questionable whether or not there is a romantic element to it or personal friendship and loyalty. Well, if it was the former, then it seems these events might permanently destroy it. During this, Captain's been having visions about dead Borg and the destruction of Voyager. As if in response, a mud-puckering 15 Borg cubes suddenly come at Voyager, but do little more than scan them before continuing on their way. Janeway's pleased with this occurrence, but then she's usually pleased when people run from her in terror. However, the cubes are soon destroyed, and they decide to investigate. They find weapon signatures there, Borg, and some unknown alien force. The question was asked why I didn't bring up the mentioned unity of a power even greater than the Borg disabling the cube. The reason I didn't is because it was a red herring. While it is in fact what's going on here, the timing is completely wrong for that, the effect is completely wrong, and we know for a fact what actually did happen. It isn't even really a case of a broken clock being right. It's a case of a broken clock being right, assuming you were checking the time in another part of the world. But in this case, there is indeed such an enemy, with some positives and negatives. The positive is that they are alien. Similarities with the shadows is up to personal interpretation. I'm not going to debate it. But at least they're not obviously a person with a prosthetic glued on. But the problem with them is that they're rather poorly developed as an adversary. I suppose that might be a necessity of the story they're telling, of the dynamic between Janeway and Chakotay, and the dynamic between Voyager and the Borg. But still, that's probably the reason why they have so little staying power. Maybe it was the Borg, after all, that became Voyager's boogeymen, not them. But they did it. 15 cubes. We might have just found our ticket through Borg space. An ally. Let's not jump to conclusions. Notice Janeway's gesture to Chakotay? Probably some prearranged signal. Chakotay, shut him up or tighten his genital clamp. There's something alive stuck to the side of the ship, so they decide Chakotay, Tuvok, and Harry will go over and investigate. Shouldn't we bring someone else? Usually in a case like this, the least important person dies before the situation is serious. That's right. Now, why don't you and your gold shirt step on the pad right next to the chief of security there? There's a few Borg still alive, working on repairing the ship, or in one case, trying to assimilate the thing attached to their ship. 1,000,001, 1,000,002, 1,000,003. They come to discover that for reasons best kept to themselves, an alien has come aboard, torn the board apart, and assembled them like this. Now, it's already received a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts. They find the opening to the biomass, the living ship, and decide to head aboard and check it out.
If your arm hurts, put your arm in front of you.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. I just had to itch it.
Premonition that Harry's going to get hurt, just like the audience. So Janeway orders them beamed back, but they can't get a lock. Silly me. I assumed when they said they were going to have a constant transporter lock on them, that it meant the transporter would be locked on them. So who knew that meant it was just rolling the dice and seeing whether or not the fickle winds of fate would let you be saved or turn into modern art by a pink and purple people eater.
I'm going to try the skeletal lock. A what? I think I can get a clean off of the minerals in the bone tissue.
It's been years since I was a science officer, but don't they need their bones? If I can find their skeletons, I'm pretty sure I can bring the rest of them over too. This sounds really dangerous. Nah, I'll be fine. Critter pops up and takes up some board with one blow, then punches Harry in the chest. Well, things could be worse. The alien figures out what's what and hops in its ship to pursue Voyager. Moya nearly takes him out as they make a run for it, but they manage to escape and head for the Northwest Passage. In the meantime, Harry's wound is serious. The alien cells are so malignant.
I'm gonna cut my thumbnails off.
After the punch, and begin consuming its body.
I'm close to. Like,
yes,
I'm not kidding you.
And there's nothing he can do but lie there, thinking about the inevitable.
We don't
Still,
have to do this.
Run, right, Harry?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm fine, but I don't want.
No, you can't. You can't.
I'm fine.
You can't take this out now. I mean, it's either take this. It's either not. Yeah.
I'm fine. I honestly just feel bad for you, and I do empathize, and I feel bad for you right now. If my shoulders in the way, I'll move it. clothes.